Welcome to the Wrestle Talk News. I'm Pete Quinnell. Ever since NXT moved off Wednesday nights to Tuesdays, the week-to-week tribalism among the wrestling community seems to have died down a bit, only flaring up when there's a WWE PLE going up against an episode of Collision or CM Punk's in the headlines. But you can always rely on Michael Cole to bring it up again as he took a cheeky little dig at AEW on Raw commentary last night, which took place from the Capital One Center in Washington, D.C. Cole, during Cody Rhodes' entrance on the show, explained the significance of the arena to Cody's career, remarking that the building was the same one where Cody had his first match back on SmackDown. But that's not all he's done there, because according to Cole, he also did some other stuff in the building as well, which I'm sure is true regardless of any other history, but the other stuff Cole is referring to here is most likely making history with AEW, as the arena hosted the very first episode of AEW Dynamite in 2019, where Cody Rhodes faced Sammy Guevara. But yes, other stuff will suffice. And on the subject of Sammy Guevara, it seems things aren't going too great with his recovery, as he's not part of the Callis family lineup in the big street fight match on Dynamite tomorrow night, instead being replaced by Brian Cage. The match is currently listed as Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, Chris Jericho, and Paul White, the Golden Lovers, and Jericho, what a weird timeline we're in, versus the Don Callis family of Konosuke Takeshita, Kyle Fletcher, and Powerhouse Hobbs, with their pal from the Mogul Embassy, Brian Cage. Fightful Select confirmed that this wasn't in fact the original plan, and the Brian Cage inclusion was done to cover up for Sammy's absence. Sammy has been suffering from a concussion since Wrestle Dream on October 1st, and it seems he's not quite ready yet to return to the ring. Wrestle Talk would like to wish him the best in his recovery. And speaking of recoveries from injuries, it seems we might not be waiting much longer to get Randy Orton back on our screens. There are pretty big spoilers for upcoming WWE shows ahead, so skip ahead to Luke's Raw review if you don't want to know. So, here is how it stands right now. It had previously been reported that WWE would be making the men's War Games match a 5-on-5 match, and as the ending of last night's Raw made pretty clear, Drew McIntyre is going to be added to the Judgment Day team. Meanwhile, the plan, according to Fightful Select, is for Randy Orton to be added to the babyface team, which WWE are reportedly planning to announce ahead of the PLE to avoid CM Punk speculation, which, if I'm going to take an educated guess here, I think that will be on next week's episode of Raw, considering that's the go-home show for Raw. However, there had been a rumor floating around on social media lately, courtesy of some less than reputable news outlets, that was suggesting that following Orton's return, he was being planned to win a major championship. However, Fightful Select gave a resounding nope to those rumors, saying that the topic hadn't even been broached in WWE, so don't believe it. However, he is coming back for War Games, and that makes me very happy. Yay for us. Now, over to Luke.
Do you have plans to watch Survivor Series? Well, why not come and watch WWE Survivor Series live and in person with the Wrestle Talk team, with over 100 other wrestling fans, along with a live version of our Parts of Unknown board game series, No Holds Barred, at the Long Arm Pub and Brewery in London. Not only will we be watching Survivor Series together, but we'll be doing our live reactions to the show from the pub, which means you will have the chance to be on camera and part of the Wrestle Talk live experience. This is the best way to watch wrestling pay-per-views, and tickets are available right now. Get your tickets today, and we'll see you there to be part of moments like this.
No, it's Kyrie! It's Kyrie Sane! It's Kyrie Sane! Oh my God! Kyrie Sane is back! It's Kyrie!
Thank you, Pete. It's now time for my review of Monday Night Raw, aka the week before the go-home week of Survivor Series week edition of Monday Night Raw, in about 5 minutes. The show opened with a big promo segment featuring all 8 men, currently 8 men, who will be in this year's men's War Games match. Cody Rhodes brought out his team, and Judgment Day came out to run them down. They set up some tensions between Cody and Seth Rollins, teasing a future world title shot perhaps, but the big moment of the segment was Damian Priest being goaded into shouting that he is the real leader of Judgment Day. Later in the show, he apologized to his team for saying that, and officially brought JD McDonough into the fold as if to appease his other teammates. But I get the feeling that this tension could lead to a split of the group ahead of WrestleMania. The segment also set up a tag match between Seth and Sami Zayn taking on Dominic Mysterio and JD McDonough, which ended in a lame brawl DQ when the rest of Judgment Day attacked. Cody and Jey Uso both ran back down for some more brawling action, with the producers even getting involved, which included a PT Williams spotting, so this episode does get 5 out of 5. And it was all done to give you the stips for tonight's main event tag title match. Everyone currently involved in the War Games match who isn't in the tag title match will be barred from the building. And that also includes Rhea Ripley. A very good bit of foreshadowing for the main event heel turn. Also, I do think we now have enough producers in these segments that we could have Team Pierce at Survivor Series, so who do I need to speak to make that official? Rhea Ripley stayed in the ring to have a pop at Adam Pearce, which brought out Zoe Stark to cut a stilted promo about beating Rhea at Survivor Series. I do not fancy your chances, mate. Shinsuke Nakamura cut a promo looking for his next target. CM Punk is the devil confirmed. And then he beat Otis of Alpha Academy in a great little match. It put over Otis strong and made Nakamura look great in the process for chopping down the big tree. Nakamura attacked Chad Gable afterwards to set up a match with him for next week. Seth shook hands with Drew McIntyre backstage, who said that he will now work his ass off to get back into the title picture. More on that later. And Tegan Nox beat Piper Niven in a very, very heatless match. The Miz did some bad comedy backstage, and this was used as a backdrop to set up a future meaty match feud between Ivar and Bronson Reed. Speaking of heatless, Tommaso Ciampa and Ludwig Kaiser did their best to get the crowd into their match and sort of succeeded. But look, Triple H is playing the long game here. Wisely, I would argue. DIY, Tegan Nox, Piper Niven, Ludwig Kaiser, and later Xia Li and Indy Hartwell are not over right now. But when WWE comes back into Washington, they will be that little bit more over because they'll be featured regularly on TV. And so the next time they come back after that time, they will, in theory, be over. It is a far cry from the days of the Vince McMahon 3-week push. Despite getting ejected from ringside, Giovanni Vinci came down to attack Johnny Gargano to give Kaiser a roll-up win. Another lame finish, and it led to a segment later in the show where Gunther congratulated Vinci, not Kaiser, for getting the win. Stop trying to break this team up. Kaiser then teased something with Jinder's lot? Wait, we're not setting up Jinder Mahal for Gunther, are we? Not Jinder. Xia Li knocked out Indy Hartwell in a not all that great match using a different kick, and I like that they're trying to get over that she can knock you out with different moves. And Becky Lynch came out to say that they're going to have a match next week. This doesn't really feel like a big elevation for Xia Li, and more like wasting Becky's time. All the Raw women stood in a row, and this set up Nia Jax versus Raquel Rodriguez for next week. Miz beat Ivar with his feet on the ropes after several distractions from Bronson Reed, who attacked Ivar after the match. This did give Miz a good win, and cheating will set up some very interesting stakes for the Gunther match, but I think Miz should be the focus of these segments as he's going for the IC title at the pay-per-view. That said, I'm well into the idea of an Ivar versus Reed match. The Creed brothers tried to recruit Alpha Academy into their fold and set their sights on the tag titles. And the mentioning of tag titles summoned the New Day to say that they also wanted that gold. It also set up Ivy Nile and Maxine Dupree as future tag challengers for the women's tag titles, and Akira Tozawa did his little dance. I am nearly 40 years old. But look, okay, I'm not saying that we're better than Alpha Academy at doing TikTok trends, but you know, we clearly are. Look, we're not as good. I'll admit, we're not as good as the TNA Knockout. Shout out to them, by the way. But we're definitely better than Chad and co. Should check out the video in full on our Instagram and TikTok. Bloody hell, we're cool. And the main event saw Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso unsuccessfully challenged for the tag titles against Judgment Day in a very heated and action-packed match. Everyone's chemistry was great, and crikey, it should be. I've seen them wrestle 100 times on Raw alone. And the Co-1D nearfall was rather great. But it was Drew McIntyre who was the difference maker. He's not part of the War Games match, so he wasn't barred from the building, and he laid out Jey with the Claymore to allow Judgment Day to retain. Rhea Ripley then shook Drew's hand on the ramp, seemingly adding him to their ranks for War Games. The heel turn is complete. In a post-match promo, Cody and Jey said they have a friend who can be their backup. CM Punk, indeed, return confirmed. And that was this week's show, and it was the penultimate show before the actual penultimate show before Survivor Series. Good action, not so many great finishes, and some good drama added to the War Games match. It's still better than the Vince era, and this week's Raw is 3 out of 5. Do you like explosive revelations? Well, we're counting down the 7 biggest exploding revelations from our latest book, Wrestling Unmasked, which you can check out by clicking the video on screen right now.